This is a video showing the next version of the Caipirinha thrust-vectored belly setter model that Lorbas has been building, and just showing what it looks like in real flight. And you can see now that that Lorbas has added the motors and the propellers. And in fact, if we move the, you can see that the right motor does indeed tilt, but it's actually tilting in the wrong direction. So if I ask it to tilt up, it tilts down. If I ask it to tilt down, then it tilts up. So there must be a reversal there in the model. For the other motor, there's a different thing going on. If I ask the left motor to tilt, it actually rotates instead of tilting. And so it just must be, rotating about the wrong axis, I guess, in that one. For the elevons, that's the right elevon moving and the left elevon. They do move correctly. They move correctly with the graphics model. And we can see when we overlay the physics model to it, we do get the correct movement in the physics model. But we can see if we look at say the motor mount here, or we look at, say, from that angle, and we move the motor, you can see that the tilt of the graphics is the opposite to the tilt of the physics. So we just need to change that orientation. And on the other side, when we tilt the motor, you can see that the graphics of the motor rotates, whereas the motor should be tilting. All right, next thing is I needed to set it up as a hand launch because of the way what's happening with the motors. They're striking the ground and it's preventing it to take off from the ground. Once we get the motors fixed up so they tilt up correctly, we should be able to take off from the ground. So I can show you how the hand launch goes. So what I'm going to do is put the vehicle into fly-by-wire A mode, and I'll need to reset actually. So there it is in fly-by-wire A mode, and I'll put up the elevators and tell it to launch, and there it is flying in fly-by-wire A mode. And it actually flies absolutely fine as a fixed wing model. So there it is doing a little bit of a fly past, and it looks absolutely fine. So what I'll do now is I'll bring it in and hover it, and so you can see a bit more what it looks like as a hover. And oh, managed to hit the ground. Damn it. Let's try it again. All right. So fly-by-wire A and up elevator and launch. And this time I will try not to crash the model when I bring it in. All right, so let's do a nice long approach here. And then as I'm bringing it on the runway, I'll switch it into hover mode and hopefully hover it approximately in front of us. It will tend to gain a fair bit of altitude though. So, all right, so there it is. And the tuning is in hover is really not very good, but there's something again wrong with the tuning. It was better actually with the previous model. There's something wrong about how either the shape of the wing or the position of the motors or something, and so the hover isn't nearly as good as I'd expect it to be. In fact, it's not as good as the last attempt we had. But I'll just bring it in a bit closer and put it into Q loiter to hold position there and rotate it around. And what I'll do is I'll bring it in a little bit closer to the camera so it's a bit easier to see. There it is. All right. And now if I slowly rotate it around there, then you'll see what it looks like. And you can see the nice little Australian flag that Otto is organised on the left winglet. And there's actually an Australian flag on the fuselage at the front near the nose. I'll just bring it a little bit closer so you can see that. There you go. You might be able to see it there now if I bring it down low enough and try not to hit the fence. And great. So it really looks very good. And we do need to do a bit more work on the physics, but the basic graphics, I think that that Otto's done an absolutely superb job. And So I can take it up now and I'll do a transition to forward flight. And so there's a transition to forward flight and flying away. And I can try and do a landing. So it's not all that stable when it first goes into hover. It does definitely have some problems. I still had to set it as 4S. For some reason at 3S it just doesn't have enough power, and I don't understand why. It certainly should have had enough power. So, but I might need to do some calculations in eCalc and try to work out why it thinks it needs 4S to be able to fly this. So let's see if I can do a landing without breaking anything. There it is. And you can see that the motors actually pointed up, but because of that problem with the reversal of the motors, if I zoom in here, you'll see that the right motor is pointing down when it should be pointing up. The physics is okay there, but it does still interact via the graphics model, interacts with the ground, and so it ends up breaking that propeller. So good progress, and I'll make another video when we've got something that fixes up some of those rotations.